Welcome to our posts. Today, we will see stories of r/malicious compliance. You want me to clear the dead grass or I'll be fined? I will clean exactly my property. Disclaimers: on mobile, non-English speaker, not in the US. This story started in 2017, was repeated every year until this year, and I have promised my father-in-law to repeat the compliance if it happens again. My in-laws used to live just outside of town. They moved this past fall to my mother-in-law's home island, and we moved in their place. And when I say just outside, I mean about 2 meters outside of the city plan. To be exact and important for later, the city plan reached up to the middle of the dirt road that separated their property with the neighboring one. So, back in spring of 2017, my in-laws received a letter from the city council about cleaning their property from dead grass in preparation for summer due to fire hazards, or they would be fined. The letter and the deadline end of May were normal. What wasn't normal was the area named. It was their property, the property next to them inside city limits, and the road in between. My father-in-law took the letter to the council and explained that the property next to him didn't belong to him and couldn't clean it. They appeared to accept it, but something was nagging him. Now, my father-in-law had worked in 2 companies in life, both of them handling big government contracts, and his main job was to take care of red tape and government bureaucracy. So he found the exact law that said that the owner was responsible for their property and the city was responsible for any roads and any properties inside city limits that an owner couldn't be found. He had also found through his connections that the local council was under investigation for misappropriation of funds, including the funds for cleaning lots that were considered fire hazards. The tactic they used was to include lots that fell under their responsibility to nearby owners and either intimate with the fear of a fine to clean them or fine them and pocket the money. My father-in-law decided to become creative. First, he gathered all the plans related to his property and the one next to him. Next, he cleared his property. He was planning to do that anyway, but only that. He cleared the part of the road that fell outside city limits. And then he waited. The deadline passed, and about 10 days later, a hefty fine arrived. My father-in-law challenged officially. The council tried to enforce the fine. My father-in-law challenged it again, presenting his evidence on an open forum of the council. The council insisted they were on the right, and if my father-in-law didn't pay, they would take legal action. My father-in-law agreed happily to the legal action. This led to the court appointing an outside inspector to check the property, the city plans, and the work my father-in-law had done. The council not only lost the case and had to pay legal fees, but were forced to an outside audit that led to a couple of councilmen facing criminal charges. Every year since then, my father-in-law used to clean his property and exactly up to the middle of road next to him. That duty has been passed down to me now, which I fulfilled this year. Next story. I can definitely get that sauce for you. I'm a server, and I take great pride in my ability to efficiently run my section. The key is maximizing each trip to and from the kitchen. So, rather than getting table 31 a refill, then table 32 more salt, then drop the check at 33, you check in at each table on your way to the back. Grab everything in one go and head out to the dining room, cutting down 3 trips to 1. As long as the customer trusts me to do my job, we're all going to have a great experience. That said, my biggest pet peeve is when a customer asks every employee that passes their field of vision for the same thing. For example, extra ranch. Why is it always extra ranch? I'm not talking about when you ask me for the ranch, then see me come from the back and it's clear I've forgotten it. I'm talking about when you ask me for more ranch, then 3 seconds later ask the food runner who just dropped off your fries for more ranch. Then the manager who topped off your water for more ranch. Then as the 3 of us are in the back clamoring for the squeeze bottle like a bunch of religious zealots desperate to touch the hem of our ranch god's buttermilky robe, a 4th mother effer turns up telling us that table 32 wants more ranch. My malicious compliance in those moments is I make sure every single person that was asked drops their own ramekin of ranch off at the table. Then I come up last with the final ramekin and the biggest crap-eating grin you've ever seen. I completely ignore the fact that most of their table is now taken over with little dishes of ranch, rearranging some if need be to make room for my final contribution. Because, hey, if you asked 4 people for ranch, you must want a lot of ranch, and isn't it great that you have it now? Meanwhile, the look of embarrassment, or shame, or even anger I get from the customer is enough to keep me from running headfirst full speed into a brick wall the next time someone yells at me because their Ahai tuna poke appetizer has raw fish. Next story. That's not my job. Okay? I'll do it if you insist. I am a part-time gastronomy service worker. I typically work breakfast buffets or coffee service for something to do and a free breakfast while getting paid. The work is fairly easy and doable for someone a little bit older with a bad back and bad knees. I actually work for a temp service. My boss sends me to different hotels or companies for specific events. I was helping with breakfast service at a hotel, and it was not very busy, so they were trying to look around for something for me to do to get their money's worth. They decided that they wanted me to unload pallets of cases of bottled drinks in glass bottles. I told them that it was not allowed because of the terms of my contract and that they had requested service personnel, not dock workers. Also completely impossible with my limited physical capabilities, but they insisted. So I went to the first case and started taking out each bottle and setting it on the side. They asked me what I was doing. I said I was incapable of lifting a full case of glass bottle drinks, so I would have to unload each case bottle by bottle, move the case, and then refill it with the bottles. It would have taken hours instead of about 15 minutes. They sent me back to the breakfast buffet. Lol. Next story. Complain to everyone about your work if you must, but you're done working here equals 10 years' wages. So every morning I walk my dog at the off-lead dog park. As it's a small town, all the dog walkers have become friendly. I mid-40s made friends with June 7580. June told me this lovely malicious compliance story from about 25 years or more ago. June was working as a school teacher and was retraining as a social worker. She left teaching for 2 years working as a social worker when her previous school asked her and run a class for at-risk children. The deal was she would teach children aged 12-18 grade 7-12 who come from backgrounds of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. The job was causal, so she didn't get paid for holidays, sick leave, etc. She was supposed to teach 6 kids with an aide, but ending up with 20 kids and no teacher's aide. As you can imagine, their behavior was terrible. She believed she could help, and she said she did make some real differences. The work was really stressful, but she was passionate about it. After 3 years and multiple promises of making her a permanent staff member, getting an aide plus smaller classes, June was burnt out. She demanded help from the principal, who refused and told her since she has complained, it's for the last time, and sacked her. He told her she is causal and she go complain to everyone and everywhere, but as a casual worker you have little rights. So June did complain to everyone, school inspector, the Union Department of Education, it was a state school, and even her local member of parliament, who told her she has had a tough deal. But this is the life of a casual worker. She finally complained to the state authority that deals with safe work practices. They were interested as the school has breached state policy on class sizes for special needs kids, teacher aides, providing a safe environment, etc. They ordered the Department of Education to pay her workers compensation while they sorted it out. So now June was paid each fortnight, including leave and all benefits. 52 weeks a year instead of 40. The fallout was big after the investigation. Lots of people sacked or moved on. What this did was leave June without a boss. The Safe Work Practice Department closes the case as they believe it was now a Department of Education matter to pay June out. Everyone has forgotten about June, and she got lost in government paperwork. They still paid her, and she kept quiet. It took 10 years before they found her in an employee audit. Then they paid her out. June was ready to retire about then, so it worked out beautifully. Next story. Oh, you want all my fuel receipts every month? Certainly. Make some room. We had a new office admin start in the expenses department, who decided that all the rules were to be followed to the letter, and if it made it inconvenient for people to claim expenses back, so much the better. It'd make her department look far more efficient, reducing costs and all. At the time I was working in a group of 4 people, going out to fix things in remote places. We had one company Land Rover, which 2 guys went in, another guy used his own van and claimed for the diesel, and I used my own old Range Rover, which was ridiculously suitable for getting out into the trackless wastes. The guys in the company Land Rover just used the company fuel card, and the other 2 of us claimed for our mileage. But then, I got my mileage back with a note saying that in future, they would not accept the claim without every fuel receipt for the month being attached in full, no copies, no partial receipts, and definitely enough fuel indicated on the receipts to cover the distance claimed for. Right then, it's like that, is it? As I mentioned, I drove an old Range Rover, still do. In fact, it's big, it's heavy, it has a ridiculous 4.6-liter V8 engine, so it can drag trailers up mountains easily, and it gets through a lot of gas. No, not gas like gasoline, like the Americans call it. This is Scotland. We call that petrol. I only ever put about a gallon or 2 of petrol in a month, just enough to get the engine started and warmed up. Like a lot of older vehicles with big thirsty engines, it's converted to run on propane. There's a big tank in the back where the spare wheel would go, a bit of extra plumbing, and a special controller to adapt the fuel injection system to cope. With gas being about half the price of petrol, it made a lot of economic sense, especially when I was claiming for anything up to 2,000 miles of travel a month. That is a lot of propane. That's filling the tank about 10 times a month, and they want a receipt for every fill up. So, here's where the make kicks in. I started fueling up at the local Caller gas depot, making sure I got them to print me off a full receipt for it. Each receipt was 3 pages of the pink copy of tractor feed duplicate paper, and you just know it was the wide carriage 14.5 inches stuff. Wads and wads and wads of bright pink tractor paper for every claim. The policy lasted 3 months. Then they decided they only needed the first receipt for the month as long as it had a VAT number on it. A week after they changed the policy, Caller stopped doing autogas, so I had to start getting normal receipts from the supermarket filling station instead. Next story. Boss pays a lot for his fancy plans. This story happened around 15 years ago, and English is my second language. I had just quit my BA in economics, it just wasn't right for me, and quickly needed a job while figuring out what to do while paying my bills. I found one in a call center. This center was a subcontractor for big companies. In my case, it was the second biggest telco company in the country, and they partially outsourced first and second level support for DTV, internet and phone services to the company I worked for. The job was okay, not very demanding, hilarious interactions with customers and nice co-workers. But I soon discovered that management was just a bunch of inflated egos with glorious ideas but no talent. So after about a year, I was promoted to supervisor, just a flashy title for solving the crappy cases. No pay raise or other benefits. Apparently I did a good job because 3 months later I got called into the office by the management team. Their plan was to form a training team, and they wanted me to lead it. At that point, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my career, so I just said yes. And that's when the crap show started. They gave me a contract with no detailed job description, a fixed salary plus a monthly bonus which I can get by achieving certain milestones every month. When I asked what those milestones are, they just said they will define them every month. Okay, fine by me. As an employee with fixed salary, I also had to report my hours every month to my assigned manager. Let's call him Frederick. So here we go. As I said before, they had lots of fancy ideas, but no clue. I asked countless times what their plan was with that training department, what my tasks were, what my milestones are, and I only got some wishy-washy speech about some grand ideas. In the end, I was tasked with all sort of nonsense, helping out with calls, best paid call center agent ever. designing signs for the center where to find the toilet, for example, and stuff like that. They actually gave me so much nonsense work that I had to work overtime. But fine, I just do it, submit my report at the end of the month and figure out my life. There was just one thing that really pissed me off: the bonus. After the first payment, I noticed the bonus was missing, so I asked Frederick why. He said that we never defined the milestones, so I did not reach them. I am not stupid and I know my rights. Fact is, he has to give me the milestones. If he does not, then there are none and I am entitled to the bonus regardless. I could have made a fuss about it right then and there, but I decided to be quiet and just go with his nonsense. But I made sure to forward ever important mail about my role, salary, and bonus to my private mail. So, this went on for about 6-7 months until I had a pretty big accident which kept me in the hospital for 2 weeks and then at home for another 6 weeks. The company had a habit of firing people after such a long absence, which is illegal but hard to prove. So I knew that the moment I came back I would be fired. Sure enough, the day came, and as soon as I walked off the door with my pretty sign on it, I saw Frederick and the HR lady marching towards me. They escorted me into an office and told me I was fired immediately because they decided to close the training department that never really existed in the first place. In my country, the notice period for both parties is usually 3 months, but it is possible to let someone go effect immediately. That means I still get 3-month pay, but I am not allowed to work there anymore. I happily signed the notice, and they let me go to my office to pack up. Little did they know that I just went to prepare my farewell gift to them. I had already printed out everything, calculated my overtime and the missing bonuses. So 30 minutes later, I called the HR lady into the office and laid it all out. Due to the fact that they let me go immediately, they had to pay me the overtime plus a surcharge, and of course all the bonuses plus 3 months salary. All in all, it added up to over $15,000. The only thing the HR lady said was, "We didn't expect you to know the laws, I guess that was a slip-up." Edit. I gave Frederick a name edit too. Just for clarification, I am female. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.